This is Mel from Bengal Whisper. Welcome to Bengal Whisper. Hi, welcome to Bengal Whisper. I hope all of you are doing amazing. Today we're going to do another ghost story. Now this is gonna be like a ghost 101, and then following that the ghost story. So this is going to be for the Halloween ghost story. So this story is 100% true and has happened to someone. Now, in my other channel, Bengal Whisper channel, I had a comment. Someone requested that personal ghost story. And now, all the ghost stories are, most of them are real, true, and whichever are the real ones, I wrote it at the bottom that these are true story, and I do not like to reveal the identity of any persons, including myself. So I'm going to create characters and say the ghost story, but when the stories are true, on the description box I will write this is a true ghost story. So first we're going to do Ghost 101, and then I'll do the story. So this is going to be a little bit big because it's for the Halloween purpose and because it's for the requested video. So for Ghost 101, ghosts are really true, and they are there and they're everywhere actually. Even when you're sitting down, they're around you and everywhere. And what are they? They are just dead people, and they don't have a place to go because they don't know where to go. So some of them are good, some of them are bad, just like some people are good and some bad. And the ones are good, when you're around them, good thing happens to you and they help you. The ones that are bad or they had miserable death, when you are around them, bad thing happens to you, and you have diseases and sickness and fights and all those things. But they are there. Now, why some people can see them and whilst others cannot see them, others do not believe. So the reason some people can see them is in two parts. One of the part is their birth chart. In their birth chart there's some specific number, and I'm not going to specify the numbers because then based on that numbers they might be discriminated in the world. So I'll just say specific. So in their birth chart there is the specific numbers, and due to those numbers they can see, hear, sense, feel, smell, and contacted by the supernatural, ghost, or paranormal, whatever you call it. And then the other one is if they are very in tune with themselves and their surrounding, like they can see. What if there all of a sudden birds disappear? You don't see birds anymore. Most of the people are like, oh, I didn't notice. But yes, these people will notice that how come I got up in the morning and birds are chirping like crazy for years, and how come all of a sudden they just disappeared from the face of the earth? And most people would not pay attention. Like most people would not pay attention listening throughout their window that what happened to the birds? Where did they go? People would just live their life but not pay attention. But these are the people who actually pay attention that what is going on around them. These are the people who are very intuitive to themselves and the surrounding. And since they are very intuitive, they can feel, sense, hear them. But most of the people just wake up, eat, sleep, go to work, and just do it over again. They don't pay attention. So when you don't pay attention, and all of a sudden you hear something or something falls and you get so scared that there goes. Well, In fact, they're just like us. They're just like us, and they're just hanging around because they don't know where to go after the death. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, they are just there because they were there before, and you're not afraid of them before when they're walking around in your room or just came in or sat down or watching TV. You're not afraid because they had a body, and now all of a sudden they don't have a body, and we try to be so scared. But um, that's not what is true, because they just don't have a body, but they have the habit of doing those things like watching TV, eating, drinking, talking, walking around. They just don't have a body. So that's Ghost 101. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's some good, some bad, and as I told you, good ones do good things, and the bad ones give you diseases and sickness and fights and unhappiness, all that thing. So, and then we're going to follow with the story. Now, the story is true, 100% true. So, Neha's father, the story character name is Neha. Her father had a big job with the government. So, he moved to a big house. The government job, they used to get big houses called government quarters. And these houses had upstairs, downstairs, backyard, front yard, huge garden. Most of them created garden. And these government places, people would stay like 2-3 years and move to another location, another state, another government houses. So the government employees got government housing through the government, but these are for very high ranking employees. So they moved to this huge house, and then it was so big, and Neha and her mother started creating garden and all that stuff. There were a lot of flower and a lot of fruits and vegetables trees already there, but they started doing it. Her mother loved gardening, she loved gardening, so they started doing it. And this time she was around high school. So when they went to this house, she tried to sleep at night time. When she fell asleep, she was hearing a lot of noise, as if people are walking around, talking. There are a lot of construction going on. So she woke up, and then she went to her mom's room, and she woke her mom up, and she told her she cannot sleep because of people making a lot of noise. So her mom, dad tried to hear, and her brothers tried to hear that what's going on, what noises. And then the mom, dad, brother could not hear anything. They were like, "You're always hearing things and we don't hear anything. Go back to sleep." So she went to sleep, and she could not sleep because she heard people walking around, as if there were construction going on. And then she heard there were dancers who were dancing. And then she heard the woman, she was sobbing and crying. And then she heard some male voices laughing and drinking. And then she again heard some female voices sobbing and crying and saying they're tired of waiting for their husband. And she could hear all this thing in her sleep, so she could not sleep. This started going on for days, when she used to be so exhausted during daytime and nighttime like this. So she was even afraid to go to sleep because she could hear all this thing and nobody can. So then she told her mom that I cannot sleep at night time. The mom said, "Okay, go ahead, sleep during the daytime." But daytime she couldn't sleep because she had to go to school and studies and all that. But she was most of the time sleepy, falling asleep because she couldn't sleep at night. So finally, 1 month later, she was really getting very sick, no sleep at night time, and no one could help her. It doesn't matter where she slept, it didn't matter which room she slept. There were many rooms, but some gotten worse. So then her dad one day called the guy who built the place, because he was still building, the builder, he was still building in the neighborhood. So he called the guy, and the guy's name was Pradeep. So he said, "Oh, Pradeep, come, I need to talk to you about something." So he came, and then dad offered him some tea, some cookies, and then he said that I'm going to talk about something which might sound very silly, but just hear me the whole story. So he said that my daughter Neha has been having these kind of dreams, and is and they're really not dreams. She said when she woke up and she would sit down, not go to sleep, she would just sit down in the chair because she was so afraid to go to sleep, and she could still hear. And he explained how she heard the construction workers are working and their footsteps going back and forth, building something, building buildings. And then she heard the women's dancers were dancing, and then she heard the women who were waiting for their husband and crying and sobbing. And then she heard a lot of men drinking and talking and laughing, so like this. So he heard the entire story peacefully, and then he said, well, I hate to say this to you, but this used to be King's garden house. And in this garden house, this used to be actually this whole area where all the big government officials are living. This entire area used to be King's garden house. And in this, there were dancers' homes, and kings used to come to dancers' home, and they always had some construction going on. Kings was building more rooms, more garden house, more entertainment areas. And possibly the crying woman she heard where the queen's building used to be a little bit farther than the garden house, where the queen used to cry and sob for the kings to come home. But the kings used to be with the dancers for very late night till 4 a.m. And then her dad said, yes, she mentioned that around 5 a.m. everything stops. I said, yeah, 5 a.m. around morning time, the king used to go back to their home. And Neha's dad said, yes, and she also said there were a lot of horse carriage. She could hear the horse carriage, horse footsteps. So yes, king used to go back and forth on their horse and their carriage. So it was so shocking to Neha's dad that she wasn't lying or she wasn't making up, and these were all true. So that time everyone was shocked, and after that they did a lot of saging and prayer ceremony and blessing to that home, and they lived there for 3 years. And these 3 years were the worst 3 years of Neha's life. In that 3 years, her dad got extremely sick. He had a heart attack, and somehow he survived, but his life wasn't the same. Mom was extremely sick. She got severely burned. Brothers were very much disturbed by many things. Families were broken up. There were lots of fights in the family. Grandma died. Their house was tormented by these things, and after, since this was government job, which people always get transferred after 2 or 3 years. So after 3 years, Neha's dad got transferred to another city, and they moved out of that place. And then they were much relieved, but this relief did not last for long. As they went to a new home, a new problem also came up. She started seeing new things. So this is a true story and it truly happened, and the person, the contractor who was building, the builder who was building, he came and he said yes, these could be true because all these things Neha were saying, these things happen in this land. So she can actually see and sense and hear those things, even though those things happened many years ago, probably 40, 50 years ago, and this is 50 years later. So not only that, that time that this was proven that this thing existed and these things were true, but also this was proven that time did not matter for these things, whether time and distance did not matter for these things. So 40 years before, which was true, 40 years later, which is always coming up like it's happening just right this moment. So after that they went to a new place, and Neha had this extreme ability where she would step into a place and she could tell that there are some different feelings, different spirits and ghosts or supernaturals were there. So finally she realized that there's no point running away from these things. These things are already going to be there everywhere. At first she was thinking that somehow they seek her, and then she was thinking somehow she seek them, but later she began to understand the entire thing, and she realized, well, they are everywhere. It's like every moment they are there, but some people do not have the ability to see them, hear them, but some people do. And those people who do, they at first get very scared why they are hearing, why they are seeing, but eventually they come to understanding that it's there, that just other people are not paying attention, other people are not focused, other people are not intuitive, and other people are not paying attention. And the thing I told, that there's a certain thing in the birth chart, if those things are there on the chart, then they are the one can see the difference, what's going on. And she had the ability to even understand if someone is lying. She could tell, yes, they're lying, or someone is saying something, she could tell, yes, it's true, because she was very intuitive. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video, and I'll see you with many, many more. Thank you. Happy Halloween. Don't get scared. They're real, they're everywhere, but they're not here to scare you. Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for watching my videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe.